Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Dolores Tarver. I'm a licensed psychologist here in Georgia, and it is time for the TT Time with Dr. Tarver is a wellness-based podcast. It is not intended to be a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health provider. It's the last day of April, and it is my absolute pleasure to dedicate this last episode of the month to parents with children who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders. So I know that you likely have a family member, or maybe even several family members who may be on the spectrum. You may be a parent who has a child that has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And I want to dedicate this episode to any parent that's ever felt judged, inadequate, overwhelmed, and even joyful as you try to navigate all of the things that come with raising children on the spectrum. And it is my hope that at some point we get to a place where not only is there acceptance, but that all families can receive the understanding, support, advocacy, and resources that you deserve in order to raise these phenomenal young people. So let us get into it, shall we? So I know a lot of you are doing online diagnosing or TikTok diagnosing or on old WebMD getting information about autism spectrum disorder. It is very common now for people to ask me to test them, adults who think they may be on the spectrum. But I think it's very important for us to fully understand one, that autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition and it exists on a spectrum because one, we have a lot of ranges of how people can function within that spectrum. But two, because of all of the different areas and aspects of a person that can be affected developmentally, language, cognitive abilities, behavior, social interactions, to name a few. And so individuals are considered neurodivergent when there may be things like superior intelligence or cognitive deficits, um, ability to be able to engage, but maybe some difficulty with empathy, maybe difficulty being able to maintain eye contact. So there's a lot of different things that you may see. You all may also may see some behavioral challenges. You may see the presence of psychological disorders. So there are a lot of variations and a lot of ways that our children can be affected, and similarly that our parents of children can be affected. The American Academy of Pediatrics estimates that there's probably 1 in 59 children who are going to be diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. And I think that that is probably one of the scariest moments for some parents. I've had people literally stop me out in the parking lot here um, because a provider suggested that their child may be on the spectrum, or an educator or a um, daycare worker suggested that their child may be on the spectrum. And there's just so many different emotions that can range from grief to anger to fear, stress. I think sometimes parents are in shock, denial. Um, I don't think there are parents that aren't concerned about the effects of a label. If I get tested and that confirms that they are on the spectrum, what's that going to mean for them? I don't want my child to be stigmatized. I think that there are visions we have right in our head of who our children are going to be, and to see that future as being different, and how is this going to affect the family, and how is this child going to feel, particularly if we have neurotypical children in the family. How are they going to feel? They're going to compare themselves, um, the resources that are needed. There is an estimated $60,000 per year for being able to navigate all of the different needs potentially of a child who has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So these are all of the things we think about. These are the places we go to. Um, is my child going to be safe? What happens if they engage in aggressive behavior or self harm behavior and a police officer is called, or they're in a public place, or they damage property, or they are a risk to others, right? And they are triggered and they uh, launch at somebody. Like, how am I going to navigate these things? And even if I do want to get them tested, where? How am I going to pay for that testing? What resources are available? Are there resources even in my area? And if there are, what kind of resources are they going to be? What educational options are out there for my child? What kind of social opportunities? What kind of behavioral training options are out there? How are people going to view my child? How are people going to view me? Am I going to be able to go to family outings or other events? Am I going to even be able to find anybody that can watch my child? How are they going to manage my child? What if my child is nonverbal? Am I going to trust that they'll be in good care with other people? Am I a failure? Did I do something to cause this? I think there is that, of course, feeling of I don't want to have to deal with this. This wouldn't be the life I necessarily chose, even if it's a fleeting thought. And parents can have so much guilt about that, so much guilt about wanting a neurotypical child, and they can really struggle with that. They feel so much shame, and I think particularly as they think about, like, hey, me having to take care of you for the rest of your life potentially, because again, spectrum, so not all children will be in this situation, but who's going to take care of you when we transition as your parents? What's going to happen to you? Are you going to end up in a home? Are you going to be out here abandoned? You're going to be on the streets. I'm not prepared to manage this. The tantrums, aggression, the language deficits, the inability sometimes to engage socially or with family members. Um, if my child isn't able to gain independence, what am I supposed to do with that? So I think it can lead to this helplessness and hopelessness. And I think also just generally sometimes we're embarrassed. Like if you have been with a family member or you've seen someone who had a tantrum, they were triggered, they were overstimulated, and so you just see parents in this look of, okay, now I have to navigate out in a public space. Um, my child getting ready to, they want to leave, they're tired, a routine was changed, they've got to adjust, they can't find the soothing item and comforting item, there's too much stimulation in this place. And so seeing parents try to navigate that, and you see that look of panic a lot of time and this look of embarrassment, like, oh my goodness. One parent told me, I have counted how long it takes before we have to leave a space or we get the looks, or we're asked to leave, and how that feels. And particularly how it may feel to not even have your child viewed as a person or a child, but as a threat, or for some people as a disorder. Like they see these deficits and all they see is problems. And I think that for those of us who are parents, or just you care about people, like you want people to be safe, and so you're concerned about them hurting not only themselves but their parents. I've seen definitely parents try to put their children in therapeutic holds or try to calm them down, or to focus the attention on the parent, so the aggression is coming to the parent, so that takes other people out of harm's way. And I've seen parents be unfortunately hurt by their children, particularly if your child gets to be taller and way more than you. Then it can be really detrimental to you if they come full speed attacking you when they get enraged, and being able to figure out what is the best way to de-escalate and to calm them, so they don't harm themselves and other people. And I've seen parents make the sacrifice, but you get to a point where you can't necessarily deal with that, with your child becoming aggressive like that, because now you're in a position where they can cause you significant harm. So first, let me start with how we can support. parents, family members, caregivers of young people who may have transitioned to adults um, with autism spectrum disorder. Um, First, I will say ask, right? Ask how you can support a family member, a loved one, even if you see someone out in public. There may be simple things you can do. You may be able to remove things that could be triggering. You may be able to remove obstacles that could pose a threat to this young person or be a danger to someone else, things that they could potentially use as weapons. You may be able to decrease some of the stimulation that's in the environment. You may be able to go and get things. Hey, there's something in the car that would help calm my child. There is, something I can purchase from over there that could help calm my child. And so being able to ask and fully understand, but also being able to empathize. I know one wants to be in a position where, one, they're embarrassed. But two, that their child is in a situation where they won't be safe or someone else may not be safe as a result of their children trying to get their autonomic nervous systems to calm down. And also being able to recognize like it is much easier sometimes to have support than it is to try to navigate things by yourself. And so if I don't have to problem solve all the other things in my environment, it might be much easier for me to manage this situation, to be able to leave out of this space and know that my stuff is safe, and that it's going to be taken care of and I don't have to worry about that. I think that also it is that everybody is an individual and they're different, and so we don't necessarily want to have a blanket approach, right? Until how we address everyone, but that particularly if your own family members, getting to know that person and some of the things they like. There may be favorite songs, there may be favorite movies, there may be a favorite DVD, and we know that okay, those DVDs can get a little scratched and not work as effectively, and so I may be able to go and order some. So maybe if you left yours or something happened to yours, it got broken, then we have another one here. Hey, don't worry, I have another one. And being able to, I might be able to childproof some things where I'm able to put some barriers up so that we're less likely to have something broken or there be an accident or an injury. May be able to talk to you about specific foods or beverages, or maybe you have a weighted blanket that really works well for you, and I can get a similar one over here. It may be that, hey, just having a change of clothes on deck, or a room where people can go to be able to not have stimulation, to be able to calm down, to take breaks. It might be a space where they can go and watch a movie or read a book or listen to some calming music. It may be that you attend some classes, particularly for loved ones that you may have. Might be family reunion time, and you may do some education yourself. Hey, what are some classes I can attend? What are some strategies that I can utilize? Share resources with me, so that I can be able to support you. And also, maybe I'll be one of the people that can assist you in terms of how to manage things if they happen at school, or I'm a person that will learn how to be able to navigate so I can be a babysitter for you so you can have a break. That I know important information, so if an emergency happens, and I need to call 911, I have all of the available information. I may put up a booklet, a binder together to be able to identify some of the things that can be helpful, not only for me but for other people who may be on scene, on site, at places, to be able to assist for us that own restaurants or other places of business, like being able to ask, like, hey, are there some things that we can do to help support you when you come in? Like, people have to go to the doctor, they have to go to the dentist, they have to be able to go and take care of business, get insurance, all of the same things that we have to do. They might have to be on the phone for long periods of time to navigate with insurance companies and doctors' offices. So I might be able to do some practical things and engage your young person while you're taking care of that, and you don't have to worry about trying to manage them and be on the phone. And so we may come up with some different strategies and ideas and different games we can play, or our books, our movies, whatever that we may have set up. You might like cars, and we sit and we play cars or dolls. There may be some texture kind of things that you find interesting. We may be able to do some crafts, right? So I can help attend to you so your parent or loved one can be able to take care of some of the business that they need to take care of. Or maybe I can be that person that comes with you to that school meeting. And so I can take notes and get information while you're attempting to manage your child or attend to other things. I may help you get organized and prepared. I may be able to keep a binder of important information for you, the different medications that your child has been on, allergies that we've learned about, the different behavioral techniques that have been tried, what we've learned that's been successful maybe previously, but it stopped being as successful currently, and we're on to other things. The amount of sessions I might have left, right? I may only be allowed to get X amount of sessions, and so, hey, I can help you keep track of that. So, there are some very practical ways that we can support people, and we don't have to stare at people when they're experiencing things or film them, right? Like we want to give people privacy. Like these are individuals that ought to be able to manage whatever they need to manage without it having to worry about it being on social media. It may be practical things such as if a young person again has soiled their outfit or had some kind of behavior clothing malfunction, that we offer some things that we, hey, I have some things in my car that we at least be able to get them home, or I've got some wipes, or I've got um, some water or some soap or some hand sanitizer, right? And so being able to manage and adjust in situations. What are some things that we can do help you problem solve? And so these are the things that I think will allow us to be able to be more accepting and supportive as opposed to judgmental and critical. When we really talk about walking a mile in someone's shoes, that means that even though that hasn't been my experience, let me step away from thinking that it's an issue of you don't know how to control your child, and really think about what can I do to help minimize the stress that you may be experiencing, and also help de-escalate in this situation or support you in your efforts to do so. Now, for people that do have young people, you may be newly diagnosed, you may be a family member, you want some education. I've got a few different things. I think first up is to have a team, right? So, in this diagnosis, early intervention, preventative, um, I think very structured and supportive place, that you need a pediatrician and a behavioral analyst and a psychologist and a school counselor and a psychiatrist and some career services and disability services and vocational rehabilitation services. Like there just may be a variety of things that you may need. You may need some financial support in terms of being able to understand what you qualify for, how to navigate insurance. Some of the benefits that you may be able to receive, what you're entitled to. So you also may need some legal assistance to understand how to navigate the school system, to understand what your child is entitled to as a student in a school system, being able to navigate public education, private education, homeschooling, like being able to get all of those resources is very important. I think that social support is really important because sometimes parents can feel really isolated, particularly if you are managing a lot of behavioral things, or maybe your child isn't able to be as engaged and get out and play with other children, and so people aren't really asking you to go on play dates per se. And so finding support groups for not only you but also for your children, because there are ways to engage our children and have them stimulated and active without it necessarily having to be the jungle gym. And so being able to learn about those things through autism centers, there are a lot of national organizations, there's homeschool communities, volunteer organizations, faith-based institutions, right? So just a few: Autism Speaks, the Global and Regional Asperger Syndrome Partnership. And so a lot of these kind of national resources are going to allow you to be able to understand what kind of financial resources there are, and also the kinds of things that might help in terms of this education journey, and being able to see what's out there and what's available for you. But you also likely have some local resources available. There may be an autism center where you live. There may be autism support groups where you live. And so being making sure that you're not just looking at national, but you're also looking at local. And it may take some calling, it may take some engagement on social media. You may end up getting in a Facebook group. You may end up getting in you may find a blog that may have some resources in it and give you some things to check out. There's a lot of great books out there: Autism Spectrum Disorder, The Complete Guide to Understanding Autism, um, Autism Life Skills. There is Uniquely Human, a different way of seeing autism, 10 Things Every Child with Autism Wishes You Knew. Those are just a few. There's some good podcasts. Autism Live, Autism Blueprint podcast, Parenting Autism. So you have a lot of, I think, resources that can also help you be able to figure out, okay, right? Because I think a lot of times we're thinking about, well, I don't even know what I don't know. And so the good thing is you don't have to figure it all out. There are people that have put things together, resources for you to be able to figure out, okay, here's how I get kind of my team in order. Here are some of the questions I need to ask. Here are some of the things that I want to put in place. Here's maybe how I want to go about testing, diagnosis, treatment recommendations. But also, I think it's very important for there to be the family support. That may include families counseling. Parents may want some couples counseling. You may want individual counseling to really kind of understand and be able to process your feelings in a safe place. Parent training is absolutely an option to be able to learn, okay, how do I navigate all the different nuances my child may experience, particularly if they're nonverbal? How am I able to know what their needs are? Or if on the other end of the spectrum, they deal with the meltdowns, how am I going to manage that? And then I think also just, hey, what age do I need to make sure they get retested? After we do the initial testing, I got to get updated testing, and making sure I'm staying in compliance with meeting the criteria for insurance, to be able to receive Social Security benefits. If my child is going on to an institution of higher learning or a technical school, to make sure that I'm in compliance with having what is needed for their individualized education plans. So all of these things are really just kind of important dynamics. And I want you to know that autism is not an illness. Right? As we're talking about this autism spectrum disorder, is a way of viewing the world, seeing things differently, and sometimes in wonderful color and brilliance. And it may be that we just have some difficulty sometimes being able to understand it and seeing it from the perspective of this person that's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. But it isn't anything that was caused, it is a developmental disorder. And so you did not do anything to cause your child to have autism spectrum disorder, nor does it mean that they cannot live a very full and enjoyable life. And again, on this spectrum, figuring out, okay, what are going to be your goals? Is individualized? So, who are you, person? You are a person with autism spectrum disorder, but that is not who you are, is the disorder. And so, being able to really, the same kinds of things, right? We want to empower and encourage and motivate. Our children in order for them to be their best possible selves. So the same thing is true. But I definitely will say to parents, we see you. And we're going to do our very best to support you in all the ways that we can. And we're trying to do a better job of being able to be more accepting and understanding and strategic in how we support you, as opposed to doing things that aren't going to be helpful and that can make situations worse. But also, good job, parents. Good job. Be well.